welcome to We the People. The government has announced an investigation into the source of funding of the Aam Aadmi Party, alleging that the Aam Aadmi Party is receiving foreign contributions. The party has rubbished this and said it's a political witch hunt. On the program today, we'll be looking at the controversy around the Aam Aadmi Party to ask a larger question. The Association for Democratic Reform studied the funding of 6 national parties, including the Congress and the BJP. And in its report says that 75% of the funds that go to these 6 parties is from unknown sources. In other words, there seem to be enough loopholes in the law that come in the way of the transparency of campaign financing. On We the People today, is campaign finance one of the core origins of political corruption? And what should be the way to finance elections? Start with you, Rajiv Gaura. I start with you not just because you are a Congress spokesperson, but because you are the co-author of actually a seminal and important paper on campaign financing before you became a politician. Do you still stand by everything you said in that paper? Because you actually spoke about the need for greater transparency in the way that elections are financed. You argued that the current ceilings are completely ridiculous, and you made the argument that perhaps it was time to look at alternative models, including state funding. Now you have the Congress actually announcing an investigation into the funding of the Aam Aadmi Party, which frankly, given that their corpus is around 20 crores, compared to the gigantic funding that parties like yourself and the BJP get, it just smacks of bias.
Hardly, Barka. Basically, I just want to point out that everything that I've written on this subject comes from my experience as a politician, someone who has been in the fray, has seen how the system works or does not work. So I absolutely stand by all that. And I'm trying to push for these kinds of changes in the party and in the public space.
What has the Aam Aadmi Party done wrong that it needs to come under the scanner?
Actually, you are all people who read the newspapers. I read in the papers that there was a public interest litigation in the Delhi High Court. And the High Court ordered the Home Ministry to look into this particular issue. So it's not the Congress party launching any kind of witch hunt. It's basically following the way the law should work.
So you're saying this investigation is a result of a High Court directive. It's not the government's own decision. The timing being suspicious notwithstanding.
Not at all. I mean, it's just a sequence of events, right?
Nirmala Sitharaman, before I get Prashant into this conversation, would you agree with, would this be the rare moment where the BJP and the Congress are actually on the same side? Cynics would say that's because both of you are actually opposed to this newbie party, that can no longer be dismissed as a new kid on the block.
Well, I'm not sure I'll follow that line of argument at all. Sri L.K. Advani has been talking about reforms, electoral funding, about how there should be large discussion and consensus in the country built up much before due requirements amending the law happens. So it's not as if we've been talking about it just because today there's a situation which has come through because of Mr. Shinde's announcement.
Do you support Mr. Shinde's announcement?
It is the government and the AAP which has to engage in that. What we feel is there should be transparency, there should be greater accountability of political parties in their funding matters. And as regards election funding, for the last 2 years, all of us have been talking about it. Even the Election Commission at one point in time was engaged with political parties. The ADR has been talking about it. So the debate is ongoing. So it's not as if we suddenly have all come to talk about transparency in funding and election and also political parties just because there was a political party asking questions of everybody who've just now started entering the fray.
But are you saying that Aam Aadmi Party, which till now was asking questions of other parties, has to now answer the same questions? In a way, that's what I'm hearing you say.
Definitely. Anybody who's been questioned, either the Election Commission or by the government or by the concerned competent authorities, will have to answer it.
So you don't think this is a political witch hunt against them?
We think the Aam Aadmi Party anyway is a B team of the Congress. It's between them.
Okay, Prashant Bhushan, that's the perfect cue to get you into this conversation. Here's the point. The Congress is now saying, why are you saying this has anything to do with us? There was a PIL that went into the Delhi High Court. This is a Delhi High Court directive. Why is the Aam Aadmi Party, first of all, alleging a political witch hunt?
See, that PIL was a frivolous PIL in which the petitioner mentioned the fact that he had earlier filed a PIL seeking an investigation into the funding of India against corruption, as well as Manish Sisodia's organization Kabir. He did not disclose the result of that investigation. So, on the first hearing, the High Court asked the government what happened in that investigation. The government produced a report saying that yes, we investigated, everything was in order, there was nothing illegal. Thereafter, the court said that, well, now they have become a political party. If you feel that they have taken any foreign funds, etc.,
then you investigate them.
Then you can investigate the matter. Aam Aadmi Party is the only party which has put up every detail of every donation received by it on a public website. It's the only party which scrupulously, we have been offered a lot of donations from persons of Indian origin who have taken up foreign passports. But we scrupulously decline to accept those because we know that we cannot accept
that the law does not permit it
from foreign citizens. On the other hand, we have the Congress and the BJP who have taken funds of 2,400 crores in the case of the Congress party and about 1,300 crores in the case of the BJP, out of which 75% are from unknown sources. They all talk about transparency. They don't put up their accounts on a public website. It's only people have to access from the Election Commission under the Right to Information Act whatever accounts they have filed. And they take funds from foreign sources openly and transparently.
That is the allegation that ADR has made.
Companies like Vedanta, which are registered abroad, which are foreign companies, from companies like Dow Chemicals, which are clearly foreign companies, which has taken over this Union Carbide plant, and even the BJP used to take up funds from persons of Indian origin who hold foreign passports as well. That was clearly there on their website earlier.
Nirmala Sitharaman, ADR is in court with this allegation, and both of your parties have filed counter affidavits that you are the people who are receiving foreign contributions. You are the people who are receiving funds from multinationals like Vedanta that have Indian subsidiaries.
The example that Mr. Learned Prashant Bhushan has taken, conveniently forgetting though to say what is followed up on the Dow Chemicals. It's very well for somebody who, like him, has made PIL a very, very decent word, a word with which people think today you can get a lot of truth, to start off his statement saying a frivolous PIL, you know, questioning my parties. I'm sorry. Every PIL that you did was also very frivolous then. No, it's not that way. PILs are important. They are very good milestones in this country's democratic history. So let not conveniently today something become frivolous.
Okay.
That's one thing.
Okay.
Second, when you are talking about PIL and responses, we should also then give all sides of the story much before we go on talking about something which happened, where a correction has happened. I think it is due on people, learned people like Prashant Bhushan, also to say it happened so, but there was some kind of a correction.
What is the correction?
That the moment the BJP got to know that the fund was given by Dow, who were by then owned by the Union Carbide internationally, we have returned that money, and that is on record. We had informed the Election Commission about it, and this fact came for discussion in the public space even by 2011, if I remember correct. So it is that nature of throwing an allegation just so, muddy the water, make all the political parties look as if they are very, very corrupt and we are the only ones freshly entering into this domain like angels. I'm sorry. I have a bit of a reservation on that approach. Very well for him to speak for his party. Very well for him to claim so many things about his party, which everybody will welcome if you want to do it. And today the inquiry is on you, not on us. So then, wait a minute.
He's saying that's the problem. He's saying that's the problem.
No, wait a minute. Point here is, if the inquiry is there, whether it is with basis or without basis, is something which is going to come up to everybody's knowledge once the answers are going to be given. But that doesn't mean I start giving my case by making everybody else look like demons and only I am right.
May I take this to Rajiv Gaura? Here's a question that citizens would ask. And they would say that at the moment, you only have to basically elaborate on contributions that are above 20,000 rupees.
Yes.
This is seen to be the loophole in the law that makes it possible for this figure that ADR has reached, that 75% of the funding of 6 national parties, including the both of you, is from unknown sources. I.e., you give a contribution under 20,000 rupees, you don't have to declare whom it comes from. Does the Aam Aadmi Party have a moral upper hand over both of your parties today because they are declaring even a 1 rupee contribution?
Just to come in here.
Yeah.
That is as per law. You want to change the law, we'll follow
I'm
it.
just
But
raising
till
a question.
then to say only you two parties are doing this
I'm asking
as though
a
it is
question.
unlawful, let's turn it.
And also on the example raised of companies like Vedanta,
sure,
where they're saying that you guys are the ones getting the foreign contributions.
I'll push this argument a little further.
Okay.
If you're going to account for every contribution, account for contribution in kind. Everyone who gives you a cup of coffee, give them a receipt and put it on your website. Okay, where is this going to end, right? So the basic point is political parties are movements. One of the things that I would like our system to have is a system of rules that encourages new movements to emerge, not turn them into sort of bureaucratic nightmares.
So you're saying small contributions need not be accounted for.
It should not
the problem
be.
is
At
that
some
those small
point
contributions can be a
basically
legal
use your
loophole
discretion.
to amass big wealth and not declare it.
That's a discussion we need to have, and
Okay.
as long as it's a law, we are abiding by the law is our argument.
Okay, Professor Pushpeshpant, what do you make of what's happening?
No, Barkha, I think I'm not confused about this at all.
You're not confused?
No, I think what Sita is saying and what Mr. Gaud are saying are very interesting. They are within the confines of the law. But being within the confines of the law and not making disclosures beyond the law is probably tainting their image in the minds of the common person. Also, the alacrity with which the PIL, the frivolous PIL and the not so frivolous PIL has been acted upon by the Home Ministry is a bit leaves a bit of a bad taste and some apprehension that a witch hunt is on.
So you're saying technically they're within the law, but there's a problem of perception.
There is a question of morality, not only of legality or propriety. And in this country, the institutions have been destroyed not because there has been a violation of law, but there has been lack of propriety, breach of convention, breach of morality, and no ethics. And this is what we are talking about.
So Subodh Bhargav, if I can get you in, you're with the Tata Industries, but you've also been the chairman of a task force that looked at electoral reforms of the CIA. And you argued, or that task force report argued, that there should be a democracy cess, that a 0.2% of income tax should be levied on not just individuals but corporates. In other words, you're saying all of us should pay for all of them to run their campaigns. Do you believe this is realistic? And also what's interesting is how ADR finds that electoral trusts are actually a very little portion of the money that actually finances campaigns. So we have this vision that corporates are actually underrolling electoral campaigns, but if they are, it's not through the disclosed routes of electoral funds, electoral trusts.
You are absolutely right. I think CII view is, firstly, we need to recognize that political activity, including election, need funding. And unless there are legitimate routes for that funding, we are bound to run into this problem of unaccounted money. Why corporates do that, whether to avoid harassment or to take favors, let's not get into that.
Which one is it?
Both, I'm sure.
You're being very candid.
Yes, there are threats. I have faced threats myself when I was on a 9-to-5 job. Today, it doesn't matter. Nobody comes to me, fortunately. But I think what is important is it's sort of a music to hear both the national parties. We need transparency. Why is it not there? Each corporate, each listed corporate has to publish a quarterly account in the national newspaper. I expect the political parties, not quarterly, not monthly, but daily parta system to put on their website or on the newspaper, so that we know today they have collected so much cash.
But to Rajiv Gowda's argument,
let me also
that
say,
every 1 rupee, every cup of coffee, every cup of chai can't be
Barkha,
accounted for.
let me add on. These are all to get away from the problem. I'm not talking about coffee. Even if I pay 1 crore rupees by cash, how much time does it take to write 500 receipts in odd names? So if the receipts can be cut for below 20,000 overnight, what are we talking about? Small amounts and big amounts. We are talking about cash. CIA has been talking about the funding is necessary.
Yeah.
If the bureaucrats and the political leaders can't decide how to do that, let the taxpayer decide. And we have suggested certain models. And within that, there are two other important things, Barkha.
Yeah.
We are saying the money which is paid through check, which is normally to avoid harassment, should be incentivized by the government for an amount X. To the parties, kitty increases. And they can then buy coffee for me instead of my buying coffee to them. Secondly, just one more thing.
Yes.
And the money which comes to the political party in cash, but deposited in their bank account, then goes into circulation through expenses, should be get lesser incentive. But do get an incentive.
S.Y. Qureshi, as someone who has dealt with all of this at the helm of the Election Commission, do you first of all accept that the current law allows for, to borrow a Hindi word, ghapla to take place? Does it allow for that contribution under 20,000 rupees, which then can depend on this technicality to basically avoid disclosure.
Correct. The present law is indeed, it allows that 20,000 rupees transaction have to be reported. Less than that can be anything. And as Mr. Subodh Bhargav rightly said, we have information that some parties have set up regular offices which convert this crore of rupees into checks of 20,000, so that there is no accounting. Election Commission has been.
What did you do with this information, sir, when you had it? Why couldn't the Election Commission intervene?
No, Election Commission needs evidence. You know, on hearsay and what we hear in the drawing rooms actually is not actionable.
Okay.
So we have been concerned about transparency of political funding for a long time, for about two decades particularly. I'm very happy that this issue has now become a topic of discussion. So far, the focus was entirely on the expenditure part of it, that the people are.
That the ceiling is unrealistic.
Ceiling unrealistic, and all that, and that is one source of corruption.
Yeah.
But our instructions have been, we set up an expenditure monitoring division 2 years ago, we set up new guidelines, and we asked all political parties that every transaction of yours should be by check, receipt or expenditure. And we demanded just three things, this, and secondly that there should be an annual audit compulsorily.
Who does the audit?
Yeah, that is the next, that the audit has to be done not by your own auditor because he will only whitewash. It has to be from a panel which we will give it in consultation with the CAG. And we said then that audit report should be put on the website for everybody to see, so that the people can see if there is a nexus.
But you have enough reason to believe, I want to go back to what you opened with, that this law that says that only above 20,000 you have to disclose the donor is allowing for crores of rupees, that's the sentence you used, for crores of rupees to be broken down to 19,999 rupee contributions.
Correct. Also, let me also tell you, you know, there is no, this amendment came in 2003 through the Income Tax Act. And there also, it is not mandatory for political parties to submit these accounts. If they want tax rebate, then they have to give it to Election Commission. Election Commission gives a certificate that they have submitted the returns. If they don't want any the income tax rebate, they don't have to submit, and some parties are not doing it therefore.
Okay.